We got to eliminate the mistakes. 2 weeks in a row, early self-inflicted wounds, and 10 points just like that. Going to the half 20-3, and we got to change our mode. And we're not able to play the complementary football that we're looking for, to be able to mix the runs, the play actions. Turn it into a drop back game. I love our guys. I love that we battled all the way to the end. Nobody quit. Everybody did what they were supposed to do. As we started to close the game, we have to be able to find a way to play that kind of football early on so we can see what we have. I believe in this group. I'm excited about this group and the players we have out there, but it's the mistakes. And I have to take full responsibility of that, first and foremost, for preparing our guys. And we got to get right back to work.
Coach, why do you think it is that you can't play that type of football earlier on in the game? What's preventing that?
It's the turnovers. I think it's just, when you give the other, and I got to give them credit. I got to give the Cardinals credit for coming out and playing hard, really forcing the issue on some of those, and they had a good pressure plan. We were on our assignments, but we didn't execute the assignments. And, Bryce is in those situations, and sometimes it ain't the worst thing if you're in that situation to take a sack. I also know he makes some magical plays. I also know that he does find ways to find guys down the field, and that's part of his game. But it's all of us. It's the mistakes that we have to continue to clean up.
You just mentioned it, but the blitz pickup was a real issue on both of those.
Yeah.
Was it a matter of recognizing the blitz too late, or not communicating it, or what you said?
Honestly, I got to look at the film to be able to tell you more specifically. But the bottom line is there's an element of time, and when teams are going to pressure you, you have an element of time. It's not going to be the cleanest pocket and all that, but you have an element of time, and we just have to make sure that we function as a group, in those situations.
Did you emphasize the urgency getting out of the huddle? Do you think there was a negative effect of like, hey, we need to rush this, we needed to get the protections down quicker before we snap the ball in those instances?
I don't. I think the emphasis was there. That's something that we'll continue to just, hammer, and we'll continue to just attack that as a group, and look at those things and keep pushing for improvement.
Hey, how did the comeback that fell short change, or if it changed at all, the pace that they came out through?
I mean, I know what this group is. I know that we'll finish. I know that we had a bunch of tough guys, high character guys, that'll continue to play football. I know that'll give us a chance. I have to commend our guys for continuing to battle, to find opportunities and find wins, and that's the nature of this group. I'm proud of that part, but there's no moral victories like we talk about. We have to be able to play good football from snap one until the end.
There thought at all of after Bryce making early mistakes, 5 turnovers in the first 5 quarters, delay to make it even change?
No.
Dave, there was that grounding penalty at the end. It
Yeah.
looked like Bryce's arm might have been hit.
Yeah.
Was it? And would
That's-
that have negated the...
That's what I saw too. But again, they're officiating this thing live. I have a lot of respect for the officials, and we have to go with the call that they made.
At that point where you had a timeout, so could you have challenged it anyway?
I could not have challenged that one, but we ended up using a timeout to avoid the 10-second runoff in that situation. So.
Dave, the defense got a lot of flack last week. They only allowed 20 points in this one. The drives were pretty much handled where, two of the possessions they got it in your own territory.
Yeah.
How do you think the defense responded as a unit in this game?
I thought they responded by just going back and playing good football, and the Cardinals got to give them credit. They still found ways to make plays, and Kyler breaks out there. We had a really good rush plan on that one, and, he got out of it and made a big play, a critical play in the game. So I got to give them credit also for finishing their drives, and getting those touchdowns, a fantastic 2-minute drive, before the half, a couple of big plays, and then with 9 seconds making a play in the back of the end zone. So I got to give those guys a ton of credit for just continuing to play football and attack us, but our defense settled in, gave us a big 3-and-out, and all of a sudden we're knocking on the door with a chance to win.
Eddie, the run defense in particular, it's been a long time since it's held anybody to that kind of number.
Yeah.
What were they able to do this week to shore that area up?
Yeah, it was what we talked about, is the discipline and trust with each other, of fitting off each other, playing with the energy that they need to. And it was a really disciplined approach, to the run game today. So saw a lot of great improvement there. The guys, it matters to them, and they took a lot of pride in that. But again, the defensive guys will be up here, and they'll be the first ones to tell you, there's a handful of plays that we got to be sharper on with our communication and all that.
There's a seriousness. Maybe I sense a little disappointment in your voice. What's going on in your mind?
I think it's just the frustration of what I feel like we have, the group that we've assembled here, and to see glimpses of it, and to not see the consistency. And I know that we'll get there with hard work. But they got to be studs about it. We all have to be studs about it as a staff and as players as well. That we are going to have to be disciplined about our approach. We had a great week of practice. The focus was there. The intensity's there. We cannot back off of that. That's our standard. That's the standard of work, and we have to be studs about how we go back to work.
I think T-Mac was only targeted once on that final possession. Were there any other plays that he was a key read and Bryce didn't get to him or the pocket didn't hold up?
I thought the Cardinals did a good job of having a plan. Once T-Mac made a couple of plays, they started to do some things coverage-wise to try to minimize what he was doing on that side. And Bryce did a good job finding his other progressions and different concepts. Good job evaluating it pre-snap, kind of knowing where he was going with the ball. Now that's once they do that, the other guys have to continue to make their plays and show up for us.
What were you thinking when it was 27-3?
Keep playing football. That's what we're here to do. Let's finish. Let's play our brand of football regardless of what the score says. That was kind of the approach of the whole team. Came out of the locker room and they were focused and they were ready to play ball, and gave ourselves a chance.
You were out there without two starting linemen at the end.
Yeah.
What's the status on Corbs?
We'll give you more information in the morning as we look at it. It's a bicep for Robin. It's a knee for Corbs, and we'll have to just see what that is.
Concern on either of them?
We have to just do all the full workup right now. Absolutely. It's like if you're just looking, I know there's more to it than just going turnover for turnover to kind of even out the game, but that is how things balance out. And that was such a great play by him, a great rush to force the quarterback to throw off of his back foot, and really securing that ball right there, which did give us a chance.
Dave, you've got numbers for a lot of stuff. What's the odds of converting onside kick recovery?
I have no idea. I just know we were going to try every possible thing we could. We had a bunch of nice plays that we practiced and know offensively, defensively. It was our core calls, to execute, which they did a good job of at the end and gave us a chance.
What's your mouth on that? What's going through your mind, and what are you telling your players?
Honestly, just don't pass judgment on the outcome of the game ever. You just continue to play football, regardless of what happens early on, regardless of what happens in the middle of it. You don't get to pass judgment on what the outcome of the game is going to be because you just have to keep playing ball. And if you do right longer than the opponent, you give yourselves a chance to finish. And that's our definition of finish. And that's what I saw from the group, was a group that continued to do right throughout the course of the game, fixing the things that we talked about early on, and finding execution. All right, thank you.